Yes, recording. So welcome, everyone. This is the Monday Global Heart Resonance call and experience, and it's a call to wholeness. It's a unique space where we embrace and we each participate in helping to cultivate a whole worldview. And we enter into this experience of resonance and open to the resonant field, the larger field, which embraces all of us, which we are all a part of. And we invite you into a place of really living from your wholeness and the interconnectedness of all life. And in the circle, also, it's not about large conversations and dialogues, but it's more inviting each of us to listen and speak from the field, speak from our heart, speak from that place of wholeness, that deeper place. And let me see. So that's kind of the basics. So it's kind of opening, at least as I see it, more to our true nature, which is that interconnectedness, which is that wholeness. And so it's a chance to play in that field, to be embraced by the field, and to embrace, to nourish others as we are nourished in that field. So I'm going to begin now with a little attunement, and then Julie will bring forward the reflection for today. So I invite you just to get comfortable, if you're not already, where you're sitting in your seat, and just open to the breath. Open to your breath, wherever it is right now, and invite the special gift of life that comes through each of our breaths, that connects us with our unique expression of life. And that connects to the gift. This is kind of a season where we become aware of gifts in an outer sense. But I invite you to become aware of the gift in the inner sense, the gift that each of us is. And like the snowflakes, no two snowflake is exactly the same. Invite you to open to the unique crystalline structure at the center of your being. So the radiance of that, imagine that shining in the sunlight. And in so doing, we connect with the greater significance and meaning of our lives as we join together this morning, or whatever time it is where you are coming from, to reconnect and rekindle that gift. And now returning back to our circle, to the tapestry within each of us and all of us together, as I invite Julie and her grand little one to offer the reflection for today.
Thank you, Henry. He was asleep until right on top of the hour, and now he's not. So a little noisy, but I'll share this reflection and hopefully you can hear me. It starts with a poem from Fernando Pessoa. To be great, be whole. Exclude nothing. Exaggerate nothing that is not you. Be whole in everything. Put all you are into the smallest thing you do. So in each lake, the moon shines with splendor because it blooms up above. Be whole in everything. The experience of putting all of who we are into the smallest things we do is the practice of embodied wholeness. Greatness begins and ends with the small things. Wholeness is in the details. Like DNA is the genetic code that plays a big part in defining who we are. When we understand ourselves and exclude nothing, we tap into our innate capacity to live for the good of the whole. We are called to rethink everything, both large and small, at this time on the planet. The invitation is to evaluate the details within our thoughts, words, and deeds. Let us start small and begin within. Let us put all we are into this moment. Let us be whole. So as we come together to be one in our wholeness, how might we affect great change and up-level our collective greatness? How does this greatness reflect the good of the whole? May I pass this back to Henry.
Thank you, Julie. And a wonderful example of wholeness expressing itself during the reading. So just a few simple guidelines for new people. So we just invite or ask you to keep yourself on mute unless you're speaking. And also, we invite you, there's nobody on the phone right now, I don't think, but to say your name at the beginning of your sharing when you pick up the talking feather, so that those on the phone will know who is speaking. And as I expressed before, to just open to speak from your experience in the moment, from your essence or from the field, however you perceive it or want to explore it, and speak in the present time. And rather than long stories, to share the seeds of your inspiration and the bottom line insight. And we listen to following the threads of what has emerged in people's sharings. So, and what wants to be expressed. And last, we invite you to speak from 1 to 2 minutes, and you may speak more than once. And last, when you're finished with your sharing, just to say, I am complete, or something of that nature. And a final thing is to leave a pause in between speakers. It just allows us to stay connected with the field and to also go deeper into receiving what has been shared. So now I place the talking feather into the center of the circle and invite your sharing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Miles Flegg, and I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is in one of the local First Nations Indigenous languages known as Mohkinstsis. However, you can also, if you're saying you're communicating, you're going to Calgary or to Mohkinstsis, you can point to your elbow because it's the city's at the junction of two rivers, the Bow River and the Elbow River. I've been away from this group for a while, and that's probably necessary, I think, to sometimes come and go from communities, to go off and explore. There's so many offerings out there today to be explored. And somebody said we are meaning-seeking and meaning-creating beings. Unfortunately, I don't have an attribution for that. But I'm now realizing I'm a traveler. And I realize, at some point I felt beaten psychologically by what another person says. We live in a global casino insane asylum. And sometimes I feel that way because it sure can wear us down. But I met my neighbors. One of the things I've been doing is reaching out to the local Indigenous community, the First Nations here in Canada. And I've found that they've offered I found that they've offered me a lot of comfort for my wounds. My wounds and my trauma. So it's very moving when I think about that. I'll pause now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Karen in Costa Rica. I apologize, I didn't close my curtain. We've had so little sunshine, and it's fading now as it clouds up. And the cats are all, my babies, if you can see some of them, are all enjoying it. when Julie was reading the reflection and talking about small things, but also how do we affect change and up-level collective consciousness, and that I kept seeing a butterfly, and I'm getting two things from the butterfly. One is the butterfly to me is a reminder of a message I had from a butterfly that was, my strength is in my vulnerability. And in being vulnerable and open, I think that can help shift and raise things, consciousness on the planet for the whole. And then, of course, the other thing the butterfly reminded me of was the butterfly effect, and how even the tiniest thing can make such a huge difference in the entire world as it ripples out the effect. So that's what came to me so far. So thank you. I'll pass on the talking feather.
This is Henry, and just a small thought came to mind about putting all of ourselves into, I think it was each thing that we do. Maybe I'm not quoting it exactly. For me, movement and dance can help to do that, or serve as a way to bring it into the body, so that my essence, so that all of myself, my wholeness, can be expressed. And very often, I guess, in our culture, a lot of us hang out here, or even here, but the body, or even in the heart center, but bringing it all into the body and embodying ourselves in each of our actions. I guess I'm getting a sense is kind of a good practice to at least for me to give more attention to. So with that, I'm complete.
This is Anita, and I'm thinking being whole is feeling into everything, feeling as being part of everything, and feeling free to express my essence. And that isn't always very easy. if I've had the experience of not being good enough or not being part of the whole, and probably in my own mind building up the stories to be in it. But actually, the more I just let go of the stories, and the more I just try to find out, so what is it in me that's wanting to shine through, the more I allow it, the more things seem to fall away, and the more the experience of wholeness comes through. And this thing of being in different groups is something that I have been all my life, being English and Danish and living in England and living in Denmark and Hong Kong and other places, and not feeling completely part of it. But again, I've come to realize if I look like a strange creature to people when I join them, once I just am my own expression, then they relax as much too, and that opens up for more joy and dancing together. I'm complete and putting back the magic wand.
Good morning, this is Nahid from Bordeaux. I am touched by the field with that strength of vulnerability. And noticing that we each have different faculties that is our strength. And in coming together, I get to experience that which is not my strength in the field. And something happens here. And in that direct experience, which touches me, moves me to express it, in the expression of that, isn't that interesting that I say at the end, I am complete? It seems that interconnectedness, that sharing life, that we are here for, only in the expression of that, whatever form that is my uniqueness, when I say it and express it, then I am complete. Not before that. So I get the whole purpose for me in this moment, in the connecting to the field, is sharing life from this perspective. And only when I get a chance to express it, then I feel complete. I know I have other experiences, other times that when I've been moved and inspired, and for some reason I have held on to the expression, what the energy has done to me. I literally burn from inside. It's like even having a fever. So this is a gift. Sharing life with you from this place. I am complete.
Hello again. Julie, in her opening, or maybe it was Henry, talked about nourishment, and we nourish each other by sharing. And as I said, my reaching out to the local Indigenous community and volunteering in some of their initiatives, and the tremendous work we have yet to do in this country around truth and reconciliation. As I said, they've nourished my spirituality, and very much assisted me to taking it to a higher level, which this group also does because of the diversity of expression of God, the God image, source, field, many other words. I was maybe very much narrow-minded, even though I thought I had it figured out. So this nourishment of diversity, one of the things I learned was from an Indigenous elder of the Piikani Nation of southern Alberta. And he sorry, I just had to clear my throat. He says we should always think of all our relations. And I've been thinking on that for several years now. And in fact, I'm now recognizing that all our relations includes Mother Earth and all the creatures. And I've come across another very wise man named Dr. Silas Rao. And he's formed a group called Climate Healers. And the biggest impact we can actually have is considering all of our relations and what we nourish ourselves with, what we eat, And meat and dairy is something that we really have to consider as to whether that respects all our relations. Diet can have a tremendous personal and global impact. With that, I'm complete.
This is Julie from Nebraska, and the baby's sleeping again. I'm going to pick up that thread. I'm a friend of Silas, and actually that idea prompted the topic of today of something in the middle of Nebraska we never think about is how do you eat? And we're in the middle of this beautiful land that grows a lot of corn to feed a lot of cows. And waking to the relationship of all inhabitants, the planet and all her inhabitants, seems like a really big thing, not one of those small things. It's a really big thing, but it's a really small thing. And so 2019 has been a year of rethinking all the little details of my life. How I do things, why I do things, the where, the what, the how, all of that. It's like every little detail of my life of what does that mean? How do we truly live for the good of the whole? How do we truly live for the good of the whole when it does affect every little thing we do ripples out and affects the greater whole? So what does that truly mean? And I just want to weave in, I don't have those answers, and a lot of different perspectives look at all these details very differently for our lives, and that's okay. I think that I'm going to go back to that expression of truth, and weaving that expression like Nahida's, when we speak that truth, we feel more complete, is that our truth matters. And our wholeness in the details of our life matters. We are a puzzle piece, and we're meant to be put into that puzzle, and our expression matters. So feeling complete and whole is an interesting journey for so many of us. And yet, I think it's time for us to really ground the idea that even my small choices affect the good of the whole. So often we hear, oh, what does it matter anyway? You know, we're not all that. We're not all like Silas Rao is making an impact on the planet, one person at a time. And he can go into a church and speak to 100, and 2 may become vegan. And yet in the long run, with his goal of 2030, it matters. So, yeah, I have a lot more to say about the details and the little things, but I'm going to let it rest right now as I'm reflecting on holding a little one unexpectedly today with a sick baby. So Grandma Jules got to step in and be grandma today. So I'm going to put the talking feather back in the center for now and continue to reflect. Thank you. And I'm not complete, but I'm whole.
Good morning, everybody from California. It's Nancy. And when the topic was being discussed and Julie was reading, I didn't hear a word. All I heard was this amazing sound of this baby. That's it. I really didn't, I was listening, but all I could hear was that beautiful sound that was so lovely for me to hear. I felt like it was almost like we were having our event in silence and nobody was speaking any words, but we were communicating. That it was a really wonderful moment. And it struck me how much I want to be a grandmother. And that's kind of a thing in my life now. My kids are old enough, but it's going to be in their time. But I remember feeling this way when I wanted to be a mother and started looking at babies. And, sometimes just smiling at a baby in the, wait, hold on a minute. I'm talking, honey. I can't think. If it's okay. Would it be okay? Thanks. I'm sharing with the group. Okay, sorry. Hey, look, I just had to be honest and share. I couldn't think anymore. My husband walked in to put his laundry back. Okay, got to be true to the moment, right? So it reminded me of when I was wanting to be a mom and hadn't been married yet. I was past 30. And it was this process of connecting with my unborn child in imagery, in thought, in vision. And that's what I'm doing now with being a grandparent, being able to give it its own time and be patient. Like some of the things we're talking about, it's like having the knowing that we can make a difference in the world, one little small, anything at a time, and being okay with that. So I just had a wonderful connection with that baby for a few minutes, and it brought up many joyful things for me. I'm going to take this thought today into my day and remember that everything I share and everything I think makes a difference. So thank you all for showing up and being in my circle this morning. I'm complete.
Good morning, everyone. This is June from California. And I, too, was struck deeply listening to the baby. And it was as if it was that part of me that is born new every day. And that the sound that the baby made was me, some part of me looking to grow, to open, to understand, to give my gifts. And I realize how important it is for me to stay in that space all the time. That doesn't mean I'm not an adult at the same time or anything else that I do every day, but that ability to stay in the creation of who I am that never stops being creative, never stops growing, never stops looking at what I want to get to and learn how and express myself. Babies don't wait to be asked. Babies don't do anything but just express who they are and what they feel and what they want. And that smile that comes on their face when they first realize that there's a connection between them and mom, them and anyone else in the world is just the most precious gift I think any of us can receive, is to be so in touch with myself, and yet at the same time realize that I'm part of a bigger family. I'm part of something that I'm growing into, and that I will help grow the larger thing. So that baby made me think of the gifts that I still carry, that I want to give to the world, that I want to give to making it a better place. And at the same time, willing to just express the coo, the laughter, the sounds that come out of us when we're so engaged in becoming who we are and in becoming a part of the whole. And so I'm complete.
Hello, I'm Jess, and I'm in Wales, UK, and Anita has invited me to join this lovely circle. So, wholeness, what's coming up for me from to do with wounds and trauma and integrating shadow side, and that when we move towards healing our own wounds, and there's also collective wounds that Miles touched upon, that every time we face that we send ripples out into the field that help support everyone towards wholeness. So a lot of times we feel like we're on our own when we're going through that kind of integration, but just the feeling of, and I love the word expression as well, that expression of supporting the field, and again the small personal choices that ripple out and connect the global choices. That message is coming through very loud and clear. Personally, about 10 days ago, my teenage son decided to become a vegan, so I'm feeling all of that energy, and I am complete.
This is Henry. Two things that are standing out for me, are really standing in for me, are the what has been expressed in the field about vulnerability And when that was expressed, or just the vulnerability of people expressing, sharing, for me, that opened a doorway in our collective circle that brought in a deeper intimacy and connection, which, and I guess a little baby is an expression of vulnerability in a certain way. So I'm just noticing that in the field, and also what was expressed about expressing, whether to speak or not speak. And when we speak into the field, if I understood that correctly, what difference that makes, that we are bringing our wholeness into the circle, into this moment, into life, when we're expressing from our trueness, from our cares and concerns, from our experience, from our traumas, that is a place where the nourishment actually comes from, in a certain way of getting to the deeper core of us, which is what activates, what embraces, what our greater wholeness. When we can get to those deeper places of significance within us, or within the collective world wound, as well as world potential, that is where the life is, that is where the healing can happen. So I am complete.
This is Julie again. I just want to follow that with this beautiful story. I went to the national volleyball, the NAI national tournament this last week to watch my niece play. And they begin with pool play, and then they have Sweet 16, and then they have the 8, and then they have the Final 4. And in one game that they needed to have 5 sets, at least 5 sets, to advance to the Sweet 16, they were down 2-1. They were down 2-0 in sets. And I just stopped and like, oh gosh, I'm going to stop and pray. Everybody was like, wow, this is like, they're done. They're done. 2-0, one more set, they're gone. They're done. And this young team, and the wisdom of my 19-year-old niece, I just want to share. They came back and won. It was an incredible story of watching them. Nothing was going right in the first 2 sets, and they came back and took them in 5 really competitive sets and advanced to the Sweet 16. But when they all came back up, my niece said to me, I said, wow, that was amazing. I was deeply moved by the performance. I was deeply moved by their resilience. I was deeply moved by how the little things, how literally they became one. And my niece said, that really showed our resilience, didn't it, Aunt Julie? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, you know what? The number one thing that contributes to resilience in all the resilience studies is, Kaylee? And she said, no, what? And I said, connection. When people experience connection, they're more resilient. She goes, that's exactly what happened. We went on the team, we were in the thing, and we all were like, why not us? This is us. And they all went into this place of connection. And she said, it was like, just what Henry said just now. She said, it was like we all did what we did best. individually, and it all made a difference. I said, yeah. So she told this story of coming in vulnerable, and each of them coming into this place of connection, knowing they're a part of this greater whole. They became one and just gifted into this field all their talent, all their ability, and had this amazing performance. And I just love that story because it's the story of us. It's all of us in this place when we can fully be expressed. We can fully give our gifts forward in our diversity, in the wisdom of different nations, different cultures, different religions, different everything. It's the beauty of that radiant diversity that makes us whole. So great story. I love that story. And thank you all for being the diverse, beautiful humans that you all are. You always complete me. You complete me every Monday. With that, I'm even more complete.
Let's take a breath together. Breathing all that in and out. And now as we're getting near the final minutes, this is a time where we invite those who haven't yet spoken into the field to share, to presence themselves, and the rest of us who have shared already, we become like the banks of the river or the embrace of the outer rim of the singing bowl, allowing each of those who haven't shared to share. So.
Well, this is Grace from Kentucky, and I want to follow that thread that Julie put out. Thank you. And thank you all for your beautiful wisdom and words. And Julie, last night on the Global Heart Team, everyone threw in their superpower, shared what their superpower was, being part of this Global Heart Team, that when we connect with our superpowers in the Global Heart Team, diverse and different, everyone's superpower is different, but that we collectively, having this diversity of superpowers, can collectively enhance the global heart field with love. And so I, listening to you, I'm like, yeah, that's what we did last night. So just feeling a lot of love in my heart, and that we all have our own superpower to connect with others around the world in love. I'm evolving and growing and complete in this moment.
Somebody unmuted me. My name is Cariana, and it's my first time, I think, on this call. It just popped up on my email, and can you guys hear me? I hesitate even speaking right now because I was feeling very vulnerable and kind of low, so I don't want to bring anybody down. But I want to say thank you I feel lifted up, and it was really beautiful to come on to the last part of this call and hear your wisdom sharing and how healing it was just in this short time to listen in. Thank you. I'm in New York, by the way, snowy upstate.
And what was your name again, please?
Cariana, Carrie Harbin.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
I know I'm a longtime friend of Shelley Myers. Over the years, we've journeyed a bit, so we reconnected recently, and I don't know, I just decided to jump in today. Thank you so much. It's so nice to hear all of you.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
And this is Oriana, and I'll just say a quick good morning and glad to be here with all of you and the baby and the great feeling of coming together and being held in this amazing community. And I'm complete.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So to close the call, we usually invite people to do a yum, which is I believe it's the bija mantra for the heart chakra. But also as we do that this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are, let's imagine that we are bringing all of ourselves into the sound we are making. So expressing that, so individually, but imagine we're bringing all of ourselves collectively as well. So I invite you to unmute yourself. And take a breath. And
Yum, 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 yum. Much love to everyone.
So thank you all, and just remember the Zoom channel will be the same, which is my channel, next week. So please join us. Thank you.
Interesting phenomena happened to me. When I went to Zoom and put in the new number, it told me it wouldn't accept the number. But when I went to the email and hit the click, the one then it worked. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
If anyway.
We're glad you're here.
Explaining my tardiness.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a beautiful week, everyone.
Good to hear your voice, Kate.
Miles.
Bye.
Much love to you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.